Not to worry. We are still crash landing 3/8 approximately of a ship. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Zareth Prevails. We're going to rank fleets today because I wanted to make a new infographic and I thought it might be helpful for people to have more perspective on what kinds of things they want to be working on. I also want to start making fleet videos, like kind of fleet essential videos. However, I really want some kind of like a baseline to be able to work off of, and so that's what we've got today, folks, is the fleets ranked, and I'm sure that this is going to make a lot of people angry or upset, or I don't know, I'm kind of counting on it, really. It's going to be fun. Please remember to like, subscribe, and comment if you like this stuff, guys. We're mounting the algorithm. We're trying to get to 15K this year, even as we acknowledge it's probably not going to happen. Here is the infographic itself. You guys can find it on the Discord server in the video description. It's linked, and there's a channel called Infographics. It's toward the bottom. You guys want to hang out there anyways, because we're starting to ramp up and get more territory battle information stored there. I mean, it's ramping up means like we're getting ready to, but we've already separated the territory battle section. We want it to be a resource for people to be able to come and find new stuff about the territory battles, and it's a pretty big place. We've got, I don't know, approaching 5K members on the Discord server, so come hang out and should be fun. I was gonna say pour a cold one, but it's literally a chat place, and you can't pour cold ones. You can talk about them, though, if you like. So, that being said, let's go to the rankings. I don't want to spend a huge, crazy time on this. I'm sure, whoa, madness, that we'll spend too much time. All right, so here's how it works, folks. We've got the rankings from 1 to 10, and Chimera I'm just kind of ignoring. It's not the 10th worst, it really isn't, but in my opinion, Executrix is better in almost every facet, and yes, I know Chimera can be good, and some people may be real angry about this. You can feel free to argue with me all you want, lambast me, or whatever you want to do, pillarize me. You can do all sorts of really awesome and awkward things. So, that being said, we're assuming that all the fleets are kind of roughly equal. I mean, this is the same as, like if we're trying to counter a team, I'm not going to be like, hey, use your Gear 8 resistance and go kill that Executor, like, with all the relics. I mean, I wouldn't say that even if Resistance was a top tier fleet, but we're assuming that if you're going to counter a fleet, or if you're going to rank it against others, then most of the pilots are going to be about the same level, and that's how we're comparing them. So the AdRad team is all going to be, high-ish, Relic 7-ish fleet characters, and we're comparing it to a finalizer fleet that's all going to be Relic 5 to 7-ish characters, etc. for pilots. And so you can see that the fleet itself is the commander, and then I've put what I consider to be the best offense and defense build. Now, there are quite a few builds when it comes to all of this, guys. At the end of the day, there are a lot of different builds, and I can't show you all of them. I do want to show you like the pretty baseline, like this is what essentially is going to be the best for this fleet kind of thing. So that's what we're showing, the best offensive build, the best build that I think should go on defense. And of course it's going to be the first 3 ships are the ones that are out, and then the next 2 or 3 are reinforcements, and then the fleets that it beats. I just wanted to give you like a quick graphic representation of like, well, this is essentially what you can expect to be able to beat when you're there. So with that being said, we've spent like 4.5 whole entire minutes trying to outline this. Let's jump in to the nitty gritty, as you will. So, Profundity is the new hotness. Of course, it's the best fleet out there, folks. I don't think that should surprise anyone, and it beats all the other fleets. in my opinion, it is going to be stronger with just these 5 ships. And on offense, I actually only ever use the first 3. The Falcon with Outrider and Y-Wing do enough to beat any fleet out there. And if like, I never need reinforcements. Either I'm going to lose because it's still RNG, or I'm going to win with max banners. And so like, try climbing in fleet sometime with just those 3. It's kind of fun. Like, it feels nerve-wracking, but it works. It works just fine. I guess against other Profundity, I like to bring the other ones in, but against Executor especially, I like to climb with that. And the thing about Profundity, guys, is the mirror match is not super consistent. Like, yes, you can win with it, but sometimes, like, you delete their Y-Wing first, and then they don't delete yours for a while, but then suddenly something swings and it kills you. So it's a very tricky fleet to play in Arena. Like, I don't really love it. Maybe one day we'll find some kind of way to consistently mirror match it, but right now it doesn't feel like it. And honestly, it has the same builds with on offense and defense. I think the thing that's most interesting to me right now is I'm starting to work on the Phoenix pilots, because they can actually add a pretty nice level of offensive boost if you need to do the mirror match, or if you need to do some of this other stuff. Like, there have been times that I've been like, wow, that ghost came in and did nothing, or sometimes the ghost comes in and I'm just like, oh my gosh, that was crazy. And I know that it's all just like weird variants sometimes. It's RNG to some degree. However, it is also just, it's also the level of the pilots. If you can get them to relics, I mean, I'm not telling you here you have to do this, because they're reinforcements. They're not, but you're going to have more holds if you put more levels on those teams. And so I just got Zeb and Kanan up to relic 1 on my main account. My alt has them all like relic, has them all, sorry, not relic, has them all gear 8. So, you know, your mileage may vary. Executor's in a weird place, guys. Fighting against Profundity, it can beat Profundity. It can climb against it. It just has a tough time against it, especially the really high-level Profundity that do a lot of damage. Executor is, in my opinion, the most easily discardable fleet. I mean, discardable as in, like, you put it on defense and make it your opponent's problem. If you do that, there's a couple things you want to keep in mind. First off, there are a number of off-meta counters that you want to look at. First off, Finalizer can beat all the variants with Houndstooth starting. If the Houndstooth starts, then Finalizer can beat it if the person knows how to do it. And if they don't have the Houndstooth starting, if you start IG-2000 instead, then Negotiator can off-meta it. Those are the things that you want to take into consideration if you're scouting your opponents. Now, on offense, it can beat basically all the different fleets, and so maybe you want to keep it. However, it's not consistent against Profundity, not at least in GAC. And a lot of times, I mean, I think the thing that I want to stress the most, guys, is the offense build, or the defense build that I'm showing you. You have to have the same relic level and mod levels as your opponent's Piet, or you're going to just, I mean, this is on defense. If you attack a similarly relict team that is just faster than you, then you're just going to get destroyed in the mirror match. If you have the same relic Piet and the same speed and you can go first, then you're going to destroy it. And so, like, that's when you want to put relic 9 on Piet, to be honest, guys. Otherwise, yeah, it beats all the things. It's still a very good fleet. You kind of want... I consider those two to be like the galactic legends of fleets. Like, those are the two that are peerless. There's nothing that's really better than them. By a pretty huge margin. Now, I've heard people say that Empire, that Executrix is actually worlds, like in some worlds, like the second best fleet or something, and I don't see how. Like, no one's ever really explained that to me. It's just kind of weird to me that they would say that. However, sure, okay, I guess, I don't know. I'm not even gonna play. It's too weird, guys. It's very strange. And So, because it just gets blown out of the water by Profundity and Executor. I guess the big thing about Executrix is sometimes if you put it on defense, Profundity is going to struggle against it just because of the way Shuttle interacts with the Profundity. And that's why I have that as the best offensive build, folks, is because against Profundity, it is an off-meta counter to Profundity. And what it does is whenever so the Profundity fleet does a ton of little attacks and hits the ships a lot of times, tons of them. And every time they're hit, the Emperor's shuttle is able to give bonus protection, so the damage caused by Profundity fleets is minimized. Now, this isn't maybe the best to attack all the other fleets out there. This is just the one. I mean, it's probably effective enough, but remember, fleets like Executor, where there's actually big hits and huge damage done, the shuttle is going to mitigate less and less of that damage. And so Executrix does well in this build against specifically Profundity, and then you probably want to do a different build that's a little closer to the defense build that I'm showing you here. I put this defense build here because this is the one that's best, in my opinion, against Negotiator. And Negotiator has a really high banner win with it if they against most Executrix fleets except for the one with Gauntlet, because Gauntlet will cleanse all the things and heal things, and it just gets in the way. It's a whole big mess, folks. Now, people are going to debate this. I feel like this is the next one, guys. The Malevolence, people are going to want to say, well, my builds are wrong, which I think they kind of are. Like, I'm just showing you the baseline Malevolence build, but they're also going to say that Negotiator's better. And all I'm going to say is Malevolence has an off-meta counter build for both Executor and Profundity. Like, no other ship does. Negotiator has one against Executor, against one version of Executor. Malevolence has a chance to beat any version of any of the meta fleets. It's not like a great chance sometimes, but Malevolence is versatile also against the Empire fleet. It can beat almost all the things. So like against Empire, you're going to want to use all of your geos to start with. Against Profundity, you're going to want to start with Spy instead of Sunfac, so you can get off the big hit right away. And against Executor, you're going to want to do, instead of Sunfac, you're going to want the TIE Fighter, actually, to start, because you'll get turn meter from it. So there's too many builds, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to confuse everything, because all the builds are too specific. You're going to have to just watch my channel if you want to see which builds are which, or maybe I'll do that. Maybe that'll be my first video, actually. I really like Malevolence builds. Maybe I'll do that. So, Malevolence, it beats all the things, guys. It does. It beats all the fleets. In my opinion, it's almost better than the Empire fleets, just because of how many counters it has. Empire doesn't want anything to do with Executor, and Malevolence is like, well, we kind of just lose a ton of banners, we just hemorrhage all of them, but at the end of the day, like, we can be victorious against all of them. It's just kind of a fun fleet. Negotiator, so Negotiator's just kind of this weird one where it's like, well, kind of need it, because there's one build, the triple attacker fleet with Executor, that you need to have Executor. But if you do that, you have to have like a relic 7 Plo Koon, and so that he's faster than IG-2000, and you have to have relic 8 if you want to be faster than a relic 9 IG-2000 for what it's worth. And then you also, like, it counters all these things, but it's kind of, it really doesn't want much to do with the bigger ships. With Profundity or Executor, it's just like, let's just pick on all the other fleets. And that's fine. It does well against all of them. Against Empire, of course, there's that build with Gauntlet that it doesn't like. But for the most part, Negotiator does pretty well against all the lower fleets. And that's why I have him ranked at 5, because he doesn't want much to do with the bigger fleets. He just doesn't. And even the one Executor counter, like, if they have a lot of ships, a lot of relics on their pilots, like, my relic 7 Clone Sergeant just got demolished earlier today in just one barrage. Like, he just died, even though he was crit immune. He just got destroyed by Executor because he had all relic 8 and 9 pilots. So yeah, was not pleasant. And then after that, like you get, so those are all like the mid tier, like all of the fleets that I like, and almost in a way, like Negotiator doesn't belong below that line, but like there's a pretty huge gap, guys, because you want Finalizer next, and Finalizer's like, well, the one awesome thing about Finalizer is it counters all lower level Executors. And the high level ones, if they're all 3 attackers, it doesn't really work, but it can kill any of them with, like I said before, with the Houndstooth starting. And you know, you need your Echelon. The higher relics you have on all of your pilots here, the better, because it's an off meta counter. It's a little bit scary, and if you put it on defense, it just doesn't do anything, guys. It's horrible. That's why I say don't. Like it's not. It's like, if you thought about putting it on defense, like you're probably gonna think about it again. That's why I did so many don'ts. Like, just don't never do that. It is better than the Radis, I guess, but not by that much. It's all right. It's fine. It's one of the reasons people say to get Supreme Leader Kylo first as a Galactic Legend is because you get the Finalizer fleet, and I get that because it counters Executor, but Executor isn't even a top tier fleet anymore, and so, or not the top tier, I should say, and it doesn't counter all versions, even though people are going to tell me in comments, well, it always works against the really high relic pilots. It just doesn't. It's not consistent against the really high level pilots on Executor with the triple attacker build. So yes, it's good, it's fine, it counters some stuff, but it doesn't counter that much. Like some Executor builds, some Negotiator builds, but it's messy when you do that. And then it beats these other ones, like Radis and Home 1. Like, yay for that. Alright, so Radis, on defense and offense, so I want you to note, guys, putting the Falcon in reserve is actually pretty good. You really don't want to put Clone Sergeant here with Radis. People do that all the damn time. And what happens when you put it on defense is, instead of the Falcon coming out, which you need to come out right away if you want any chance to steal banners, is like, you don't want Clone Sergeant. Clone Sergeant always comes in. It's always prioritized. No matter where you place it, Clone Sergeant comes in, and then I'm like, well, that was lame. Like, I just killed your whole fleet, and Falcon didn't even come in. Falcon coming in and doing the roll and then doing the big hit is hugely problematic for a lot of counters. And if someone's already on the edge of being able to counter your Radis because they had trouble with your other fleets, then probably that Falcon can actually make a huge difference. Yeah, I really like this build. Apparently I put Ebon Hawk at the end. I don't know if Ebon Hawk's the best for that, to be honest, on defense, but yeah, so don't do that on defense. Just you know. Alright, Home 1, it's like, if we get Red 5 at some point, this fleet's gonna be good. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, I've gotten holds with it on defense before, but it's kind of weird and fluky. Like, I've heard it can beat Radis, and then we just don't know, guys. We don't know what it counters. Like, it kills Radis. Otherwise, I haven't seen any conclusive videos on it. I've just seen people get melted with it because they don't understand how anything works, and that's fine. Yeah. Anyways, we've got... Finally, we've got Endurance. And Endurance, so my theory is we're getting the new Grand Inquisitor ship, which is going to change the rankings a little bit, I think, is my guess. Because I think that they're trying to get Executrix all buffed up, because no one uses it. Even though Executrix is better in my opinion, I think Chimera is primarily used by the majority of people. And so CG has been like, oh, look at the numbers. Everyone uses Chimera. Chimera is awesome. And, you know, good to go with TIE Interceptor. Now we're going to get a Grand Inquisitor for Executrix. And even though it's kind of a little bit wrong on their end, and this is all my assumption, of course, but I think that they're just trying to revitalize a fleet, which is actually a good thing. I want them to make these fleets viable. I think that they're going to do the same for Endurance at some point. So right now it's a burner fleet. You guys can see what I mean on my videos if you want some time just, you know, messing with cooldowns and stuff when you attack a fleet. But otherwise, you know, Endurance has no place, really. Like, it can't do anything. Even its feet, it's just like everything about it is so pathetic. It's very sad. So, anyways, let me know what your thoughts are, folks. What are your rankings for Fleet? What did I miss? I would love to hear it. Respectful discussion only, please. Thank you guys so much for watching. And remember that in all things, Xaereth prevails.